Hi everyone, welcome back to the Jansen Art Studio. Welcome to our YouTube educational channel. And what we're going to be doing today is just a little kind of an impressionistic vase with some carnations, which I haven't painted for you in a long time, and maybe some daisies or some small flowers. We'll see how it goes. I've got kind of an idea, but we'll develop it as we go. I have an 11 by 14 panel here that I have base coated with a light gray, which is white and yellow oxide and a little bit of black. It's an MDF panel, super MDF panel. I love painting these things, especially in 11 by 14. And, you know, up to about 14 by 18, then they start to get a little flimsy and I don't use them anymore. Even though they're much, much more sturdier than a canvas panel that you can go get out there. But anyway, let's get into this. I'm going to be using my palette knife, and I'm going to be using some of my fusion tools, my fusion brushes here, some older ones here, and some various maybe a few sizes here of my my flats and stuff here. One of my favorite painting sizes, 6 or the 8. And palette knife here for doing some wonderful things to the background. I'm going to be using my Painted Simply colors, my 6 colors that we have. And then for the Art of Painting series, I've added the pine green and some yellow oxide, burnt sienna, and a little bit of the quinacridone, the burnt sienna out there. So you could add the quinacridone violet, which is another color I use sometime. I won't use it today, but it is a beautiful color. Let's get into to putting on some of these backgrounds. So I'm going to make a light to dark contrast here, and I'm going to start out with some, and also some temperature variation to it. So I want to put in some blues, but I want the blue to go to more of a nice cool blue violet here. And so we'll start out here with some phthalo blue, a little bit of my red violet there, which will cool that down to a violety kind of color. And we'll push this on here with some white. We're going to picture a real light kind of area back here. We're going to go right from that into some warm, kind of soft yellow, green colors here. Very light. Let's get some yellow oxide into this over here. And let's get a little warmth running in and out of this as well. So we, you know, that's one way an artist can really create some nice, beautiful contrast. And still keep it soft. I don't have any value contrast here. I have a lot of temperature contrast. So warm and cool. Now we will add our value contrast here in just a second. We'll run these warms and cools running right through together here. A little bit of that cool running here and there. And change the color up a bit. You know, lighten it up, change it up a bit. We'll strike some more of that around. But we'll let that come in. Now we'll cool it down just a bit. Let's get a little bit more of our blue, a little bit more of our red violet here, and we'll tone this down. Maybe a little bit. You can put a little purple in this, a little green in this. We're going to vary this color up a bit here. We're going to come right down here. That's a bit bright, so let's tone that down. Let's grab. You can grab anything that would be opposite of blue, of any of the oranges with this burnt sienna. That'll warm it. So I'll stay away from that for a second. I'm just going to grab some black, and we'll push that in right down over here. We'll push a little bit of that in. Let's put a little bit of warmth in this. We play these warm cools. Let's put a little burnt sienna in over here and let that come in right back down over here. Okay. And we'll get a stroke or two of more pure color over there. Then we'll go right into some of our greens as well, which will be, and we'll just put some green in with some of this light yellow, some of this color over here, and let that just kind of tone in there. And we'll push that up and through here. Let these colors start to come together. Not blending them together, just let them start to model in together here. So don't work it too much. Let's get a little bit of that burnt sienna into that green here. We'll get a little bit more green over here towards a little bit warmer color. Some green and burnt sienna together is a beautiful color. We'll get some of that right in here. We'll walk that up. We'll come right down to here to the side here. Put some of that color on back here. Okay. And we're just putting colors in here right now. Okay, so we got that in. Okay, now let's take our, so I've got a cool and a warm, and back down cool and warm over here. Now we're going to start bringing them, some of these colors through here, and start some of our working with like the knife to give us some interest to the background. So I'll take a little bit of my bluish color here with the knife and some white here, some nice light color, and we'll start some interest. This is where I start some interest, and how I start the interest through the painting here. I'll work the knife one way and another with some nice heavy color like this. And when I use a lot of color like this, this is what gives those backgrounds so much interest that people always write to me and say, I just love your backgrounds. This is how I do it. Well, it's one of the techniques I use to do it. And we'll come in and just kind of spread that color around with the knife. The knife does it, but it's good that you're finding some of your tones, you're varying some of your tones. Let's put a little strike of some green and stuff out here with some of that light. Some of this green might strike up here like this and come across and hit into some of that yellow back up there. Maybe that, let's get a little bit brighter yellow here. Just a little bit more of a yellow tone in here, because we'll have some yellows that are going to be showing up in our painting here. So might as well have some of that showing up here as a strike or so into our background. So you got a real cool side and warm, and you might pick up a few little areas of that. Most of this will get covered up by flowers, but it's kind of fun to start playing some of these colors like this. And we'll drag some of this down and right down through these areas here and start bringing those together as well, right down here. So we see some different colors coming together. I love that burnt sienna and those greens and stuff when they come together like this. They're beautiful. We'll get some of those colors right down there. Let's take some of those light blues. Let's just carry a bit of that down here. Just pull that right into some of this color here. Pull that down like this, and then you can wipe your knife and pull it across, and you can start. If I press down with that knife, see, now I'm pressing down. I'm pushing those colors together without trying to blend them too much together, but I'm pushing and pulling these colors down like this. That's dragging them across and creating middle tones here like that, and some of those middle tones will come up here like that. And I can, start to pull that blue down a little further. Just push down with a knife like that and just pull it down. Pull it across like that. And, you can just work some beautiful till you get some nice movement back down in here into your background. You can take your larger brush, and if you want to soften some of that movement, just pull through. Sometimes I'll pull through at an angle. Sometimes I'll just pull through like this just a bit, just to soften some of the tones. That makes it a little bit more blurry. Some of that stuff going on back there. I love just a spot of blue there like that. That's really pretty. Maybe we'll put another spot or so. I like that blue violet in there. That purpley blue violet is really pretty. So let's add another little spot or two of that right up here. Now see that just spots that color, and it's a beautiful color. Well, some of that's going to paint out, but it's a beautiful color, especially when it plays up here against the warms and stuff like that. You get this little spark of color. Maybe you have a bit of it back down here where we're going to have some smaller, darker flowers coming out. So pretty little colors there, and you can soften that in just by taking the light right across it like that and sink that into the back of the painting there, and of course then put a flower right over it and cover it up. So there we have some of the main areas that are background where I got a light cool into a light warm, a cooler, darker color, and a warmer side over here. So the warmth's coming through like this, the cool's coming through like this. I kind of like that line and stuff coming through there of those colors. And you can even take, and many times I take that line of light and come through flowers and stuff like that into the back. As a matter of fact, let's just drag some of that, because I really like that effect. It sells very well for me. I'm a selling artist, and it sells very well for me. My buying public likes that type of look when I add that to flowers. So we can add a little bit of that look through like this. And sometimes well, actually, a lot of times I do this afterwards, but we can add a gentle little bit of that light right through the painting, right like that here. And that pushes a little bit of that light through. And we'll push a little bit more later on. Maybe get a little bit more white here. So that light's a little bit more crisp right up here. There we go. Right through. Just looking at that light kind of puts a different kind of little boom right through it, right like that. It's a nice, powerful light moving through. Now, what I'm going to do is right up into this area, right where I just put that, is I'm going to start some flowers. And so I'm going to wipe back just a bit here of some of the dark colors that I had in here. And this is where I'm going to put a composition of maybe some yellow blossoms and some white daisies right up here like this, right in there. We'll come up higher here and put a blossom or two, maybe one or two right down here. And then down in here we'll give the idea of an edge of a vase. So I'll not pull all of it out, we'll just pull some of this color out here. Pull some of this. I'm just using a paper towel. So I'm just removing just a little bit of the color, because if you get, with that knife, you get real thick paint here. And that gets kind of difficult sometimes to paint through. So we'll just use a little bit of that through there. Now I'm just going to restate that light right there. So that's coming through, and that looks pretty good to start out some of our painting here. So just make sure I back some of that color right back out of there for where I'm going to have those yellowy blossoms and some daisies. Okay, so I'll start out here. Let's grab this brush here, number 8 here. And I'm going to take some of this background and I'm just going to push it right up here for right now. And let's take down a nice dollop of our yellow oxide, some Hansa yellow to brighten that up. We'll use some of our white right out here. Okay. And we're going to paint these flowers several times. Let's grab some burnt sienna out here, some pine green right out there. So we'll paint these several times. Let's go into some of our yellow oxide here, maybe a bit of white just to lighten that up. Not real bright yet. Let's stay away from being real bright with our colors. And the yellow oxide will look bright enough on here for right now. Let's just come in and just put in the shape of what we want this yellow blossom here. And multi-petal blossom there. We'll put that one in there. We'll drop one right in here maybe. This one will come in right in here. Okay, so we'll have those two right there. We might put another little touch of one that's going to come back here into the back. So we see one right back there. Maybe a little whisper of one back up here. So we'll have just a little idea of one right up here into the very back. And that's painting through a lot of paint right there. So I'm going to lift out just a bit of that. There, and we'll strike back through that again. There we go. Soften that green spot there. And we're also going to have some of our white daisies here. So I'm just going to start out with a real grade white. And since I have a lot of greens and blues, I'm going to take some of these greens and colors here and blues, maybe a little bit of that black, burnt sienna. Come down here with a little bit of yellow into that. Make a soft gray. Just a real soft, beautiful gray there. And we'll use this for some ideas of our little daisies. Where our daisies are going to go here. Maybe we'll put one right out here. Now it won't show up too much against this light background yet, but we're putting this in just as a nice undertone for them. Maybe we'll drop one turning right back here. It'll show up more on this side because, of course, this is the darkest side, but we'll soften that into that background for right now. These are real quick little statements. I don't try to make them perfect at all. I'm just making real quick little statements for the positions and stuff, but I can change it really easy later on, okay? Now let's also take some of our pine green, maybe some burnt sienna. Let's cool this down. Maybe a little diox purple into that. I love that diox purple into that pine green. Makes a really cool green color. And I love to vary it with some burnt sienna like this. And what we're going to do is put in our contrasting, real contrasting darks. So one of the things I want to do on this painting is play a lot of contrast in it. Light dark contrast as well. And we'll cool this down here. Okay. And let's just come in and strike in some of our real contrasting darks. Vary the color, sometimes maybe a little more of the green, a little bit more of that pine green there, like that. Some of this out here, okay, down here. We have to put in that vase in there as well. Let's put in just a bit more green, let that come out here. And put those strokes in. Now some of this I'm going to soften and change a bit. This is just the first go through with some color, loosening up, getting some color. To the top side here, we can add some of this yellow oxide into this. And so we change this green around. So the green won't be quite as much. It could have a little bit of that dark in there, here and there. Maybe into the deep parts of the petals. We'll be painting those. Here, more so, let's just grab some of this. Just drop that in there, okay. Maybe there'll be a here, and we'll have like a little stem idea of a stem going up to that one. Just use the chisel of your brush here. And we'll grab a little different softer greens, green touches right into the center of that daisy there. I put a touch. That's okay. It'll be a daisy center. But this is how casual I'm coming through, and I'm just applying some of these colors I want. So I want to have a real light side to a real tone side down here, and a bright side too. So some of these greens that you put up here, you can have some nice bright touches to it too. This will make your painting more beautiful. The tendency, and it was mine for the longest time, and still is if I don't concentrate on it, is I make all the leaves the same tone. And you know the leaves, there's more leaves than anything else really in a painting. Whether you put them in soft or whether you put them in defined. And if you alter those tones through there, you get so much more interest. But we have a tendency to same tone them. Now, there's some paintings where I do that on purpose, but you know, that's just one thing I want you to be aware of as an artist, is those leaves are the prettiest when those tones are changing there. Like that. Okay, so now let's just soften some of this around, in and out. And so I'm keeping everything undefined and just pushing these colors together. I'm just painting for contrast right now. And what I'm doing is just watching the tones here and watching where my colors are and stuff like that. And, you know, I might want some more purpley green darks, you know, down deeper colors right down in here where it's going to be underneath that vase there. So I'm going to put a little vase shape here, and I can make it maybe a soft yellowy gray. So I'll take some of these colors here, and let's just drop in the edge or idea of a vase sitting here like this. A vase, it's a vase if it gets really beautiful and expensive. Otherwise it's a vase. Let's drop in the idea of it here, just like that. Maybe this edge of it right here. So they see a little bit of this edge of it as well, right there. Okay, so we're just going to paint it very impressionistically here. So maybe a strike or two here for some light on it, like that. And boom, there's another little highlight strike of it right there. Maybe a little light strike edge to it there, like that. We can put some, let's put some accent tones in here. Some of our yellows, yellow oranges into this here. Gray that down just a touch here. So I always carry some of the other tones of the painting down into it as well here. But we're going to paint this just ever so simple here. So we'll just pull through down like that here. Pull through. couple of times here. Yeah, like that. And, you know, I leave little strikes like that happen. I just leave them because right now I'm just building multiple strikes here. You know, I'm trying to keep the vase here, and I don't want to get it quite that light, but I'm trying to keep it very casual here. And so we do that by painting in many different directions here. So let's just darken that back down there just a touch here. Get a little bit warmer gray, some burnt sienna and some green, a little purple into that. And that'll darken that down just a touch more. But see, leave some of those tones. We'll pull some across just a bit like that so we get a little movement to it. Let's redo our light hit on it here. There we go. And we got to remember, this is I'm going to let that paint's really thick right there. I'm going to let that tack up for just a minute. We might add a extra little tone or two down in here, strike through like that, just as an accent of it. Maybe if you're thinking that way, you know, like a little yellow tone, a little yellow hit right up over here, you know, that just picks up that. That might be a bit of a yellow hit right down there. Might have some yellow hitting right up there. We're going to cover it up, but if you want, you can like give the edge of the container here, and maybe you're only going to see a tiny little bit of it, but I just use my chisel like that and maybe put a little shadowy tone underneath that and pull down, and so you can see that. You might want to leave some of that. You might want to come in here and just take the corner of your brush and just tap a little bit of light right in there like that, and then you can have a corner there, or we can paint some of that out here, and that's completely up to us. I'm going to reset this light color here, so I just paint back like that a little bit. That's good. That sets that back. Let's just reset our light here, our light strike right there, and pull through just a bit. Boom. Here. There, pull through. Just wipe your brush a bit, and that softens it all out. So you get the idea of it there. But you can take this out, or you can leave this in. This is up to you, but that's how you would, give a real impressionistic one. I'm going to put some greens and stuff right over that, so maybe they see just a little edge of it there. Maybe they'll have just a little reflected strike of light right here onto this edge, or a little through light or bounce light that comes right there. And we'll just break that just a touch there like that. We have just a bit of it, maybe a lower light, just a touch of the lower light, or so a softer light, add some of the grays and stuff to it over here. And so that light isn't quite as much over here. That's what you'd have in those types of painting, and it'll be very casual. Just a bit of our light, boom, there. Sometimes I'll take some and just lift out of that so it gives it more of a sparkle there. Okay, so that's got that in there. Let's keep going and don't get bogged down by some of those details right now. And let's keep getting our darks in here. Let's get some of our green strikes out through here like this. That'll come down. Some of our green and purple, nice cool color here. And right out down here to this side, let some of this come out here. Little bits of that there. Okay. That works nice, and we'll take, I like that blue strike that we had here, some of that gray strike, and we'll just push some of that right over here. And see what that is just carry some of that vase color and stuff out into the painting and the design. That's one of the things I always do when I create something, is I'll take some of those colors and push them out in other parts of the painting here as well. And push those around. Sometimes I use the knife here and just kind of lighten and push those together. So I'm keeping everything. What I'm looking for more than anything else right now is getting in some of the shapes and stuff, but I'm looking at all of the colors. And, you know, these kind of casual paintings like this are really hard in, you know, but they're great, you know, if you want to become a casual painter and where you can do very, very artistic looks like this. These are the types of paintings you need to practice here because, you know, and learning to move color in different ways and watching that. And like I got this all here, I might spark this with just a little bright color. See what that does? So looking for. I also have, you know, that blue up there. So I'm thinking, okay, I can come down here and spark right into this area here. We could take a lighter little blue color like this and spark some of that blue into those greens, see? And that gives another little look into it. So we can, you know, grab just a few areas and hit some of those blues in there like that as well. It's just beautiful colors, that beautiful tone that sits in there of those. We'll lighten that up. Come over here with some of that blue in there. That's beautiful. Just real light little hits of those tones and colors. So you got those going there. So that makes an excellent base there. Now, let's go in and start working on some of our flowers. Let's see, we're going to have a dark center here, like this, around for that flower. We said there might be one in there. Some of my flowers have kind of disappeared. We'll have another yellow one coming right in there. A little pine green and burnt sienna. Makes beautiful center colors. And again, I like to have those kind of modeled like that. We'll have some to our centers of where our daisies are going to go right in there like that. There'll be another daisy right down here turning down this way. And we might push that light right back out of there. We'll have something coming there. Let's push this down a bit because that's going to get in the way of that daisy. Too close to that daisy here. So we'll put that strike a little lower right down there like that. That'll be better. Okay, so that daisy will go there. That one will go there. We'll have some of this tone will show up on this top one up here. Greens and yellows there. Burnt sienna, greens and yellows. We'll push some here. So not only to the center, but then I'll take some of this right out to like the sides of the flowers here. Ones that are back there. Maybe we're going to push a bit of a yellow color back in here. Like maybe there's a back one back there. Okay, so we see just a bit of one back there. Okay, and yellow daisies and daisies going right up the sides there. So we'll have those coming right in here. Let's get some centers here. Center of that daisy there. And let's get a bit blue colors. A few more little tones coming through there. It was just a little too plain, so I want to just take some more tone right up into that. There. Okay, now we have to build the daisies and stuff, and I'm going to start first here by building some of these yellow flowers here. So let's take some thicker white and into some of our light yellow here. Maybe a bit of that Hansa will brighten that up a bit. Here, we're just going to lay this down, just heavy, thick paint right there onto the surface like this. Just lay that down and start those petals just like that, pulling right towards that center there. And we'll just lay some thick color here. Short, straight strikes is what I'm doing there. And I can lift out, wipe my brush and lift out like this to take some of that center color out, take some of that color of those flowers out there. Very, very thick paint. More yellow and a little bit of Hansa into it. Change the color so it's not quite as light. Change the tone of the color a bit here. Change its value. Change its tone. Maybe add just a bit of this brownish green here to it so it tones down a bit as it comes to this other side. That's what you start to think about. You're changing your tones as you go around the flower here. There we go. Maybe we'll change this petal up like this more. There we go. And we'll do these other petals here. Maybe they'll come over that a bit. Very casual. Here. Come out this way. Put a little bit of light into that. A little bit of light, a little bit of bright strike there. That's pretty. Right into that. I picked up a little of that green. Now, if that green bothers you, you can just push your brush down like this and lift that off so you can set yellow right back up on top of that again. See? So you can push down and lift off some of that green if you get a little too much or something bothers you there on that. There we go. We'll just put some of that tone in there. And we'll come in and put some of that lighter tone in these yellows over here. So now we got these beautiful yellows in there. Those are really nice yellows in there. And we have some daisy here. So I have some white. Let's start some of our whites here as well. We still have another one of those yellow ones to do over there, but let's start some of our whites of our white daisies here. These colors here coming in. There we go. Keep that paint really thick. Just strike that on like that. Okay, now what I do is I paint these flower petals several times. I push in and out, push in and out, push in and out. You see me do that on the video. That's what gives them the interest, and don't be afraid to do that. So I take this like this, and I'll move these colors in, and that moves the background color into the flower, and the light color, we're going to come back out and restate that again. And just pushing back and forth like this just gives you so much interest that you can't get from just doing it once. And sometimes I'll do this 7, 8, 9 times onto a daisy or to a flower. We're going to do it on these yellow ones as well. So I'll do it several times onto some of these flowers here when I'm painting them. Boom. There we go. And we'll push these heavier flowers here, heavier whites. Very thick white. You can see I just got nice chunky color there. Yeah, very chunky color. Different, right? I'm always painting different. That's the one thing I'm always telling my friends and my students. I'm painting different all the time. So I try not to get locked into just one way of doing things. I like to paint different ways. Let's get some of these yellow oxide, maybe tone it down just a bit, and come back here and push this flower in. Maybe there's another little bit of yellow right back here. You might see just a yellow petal or two over there, something right there, right? You don't have to see anything perfect. It just has to be an indication of there's another flower turned over there onto its side, see? And you can negative paint. The negative paint means you can come in here with some of your darks, and we push in, and we'll push some of these greens and stuff in here, and we'll use those to help us shape up our daisy petals or petals of the flowers right in there like that. Okay. And I do that a lot into my paintings. So I come in and I'll negative paint around with real thick paint and shape up petals. Shape up some of my yellow petals there. I start to bring the flowers a little bit more into the shape that I want here. We use some of that dark. We're going to have a daisy down over here. So we can use that nice chisel there and shape up that petals of that one there a touch more. We can draw right up here. Let's draw another one that's going to come right up here like this, and maybe we'll put the end of a daisy right there like that. Maybe one or two of them here coming out like that, and we'll just take some thick white, stroke through. Maybe that'll be a little daisy. See it just real quick. Don't play with it because it'll get stiff and you'll lose it there. So don't play with it. Just push that in, and we can take that and push that color in and out, and that'll just make a casual little guy there. See, just a little one there, out like that. Maybe use the chisel across like this to put in some turned little petals. You can drop in a idea of a little center there if you want. That's a nice turned little center there, very casual. Just boom, there it is. Maybe this one has a bit more of a calyx to it. Yeah, a little bit of a petal or a little leaf coming off of it there. Take a little burnt sienna in our green, and let's touch that into these guys here again. Here, touch these around here. There we go. Let's lift this this light out right here and set some of that green and burnt sienna center into that one there. That'll open that one up a bit. Maybe give it some back petals here, not quite as light, just some soft color here. And the idea of a back petal of the daisy. We can pull in a touch here. But you want to do them very casual here, very, very casual. That's what we're wanting to paint with this one here. This nice casual feeling through the thick paint, a different way. And build and build and build with this thick paint. Now we'll just pull a few up at an angle like this, and that'll turn that little daisy again, right down there. Let's turn this one around here. Boom, right there. And since we have all that dark, you can, maybe take a little bit of a lighter green that will show as a stem here. Just do a lighter little stem there, and a few little light touches. So I'll spark, what I call sparking the color, the light colors, into some of those dark areas. Here, let's just touch in some of this. Push this in and out a bit, and that will smooth in that blues there. Bring those into, maybe add let's go to a little bit of lighter, maybe add a little light, like that's a turned petal there, back turned side there, just turning away from us maybe. Here, so lighter in the front, just real wispy in the back. Maybe a little touch of burnt sienna they might see right there as a turned center. Just a touch of it there. Now let's come back. And I go around like that. I work around and around and around like that, and I let those just kind of soften out a bit and harden up a bit, tack up just a bit. Let that happen. Now I have to build, so because I'm painting an off-center composition here, so I have to build a little bit more color and stuff going on this side of this. So let's build that in, because I want this vase and stuff off to the side. So let's just build some of that, more of that stuff going on over here. Some more greens and stuff going on. Maybe a bit of purples here going on there. So, and with a lot of paintings today, it's very popular to paint these off-center compositions. And that's what I want to do. And I'm going to start to pull back like this and blur this outside one edges over here. Here, like that. Just blur this in, like that. Sometimes I'll use my knife to help do that too. Blur those in and together like that. And soften that out. And let some small little strikes here. There, like that. But I'll build it right up over here onto this side. So, let's build the idea. A few more light flowers and stuff back up over here. Light flowers coming back in. You know, light stuff coming back in over here. So the composition's kind of going this way. So you're actually seeing just the edge of the composition over here. Let's push that in just a bit here. A bit more. Let's push that flower in just a touch more. Put that center back in. See, I don't mind doing that. And that's the thing that makes the painting casual, is I don't mind going in there and pushing it out of the way and push it back in here. And what you have to do is do it with just a bunch of confidence. Just do it. I mean, it's only paint. Just do it. Don't be afraid of it. Just do it, and it'll look better because you did it with confidence here. So let's put that light back up here. I know I just have to make a couple of light strokes right up here. See? That's all I have to do to make that look like a little turned flower there. Okay. Now let's get some of that light and some of my thick paint here. And let's build that light color back up here. Maybe a bit of yellow into that. And we'll build those yellows and lights back up into this petal here. And those are pretty thick paint, boy. Pretty thick paint. And let's just pull some of that out here. Right out around that center. There, like that. So it's building that color a bit more and heavier color. And we'll just push a little bit of that into the front of that one. So yellow oxide and Hansa. Now I'm getting more and more and more Hansas. I'm getting lighter and brighter. I got a big old clump of white there. So we'll just stroke some of that through. And again, like I said, we can do negative painting and stuff on this to really make it quite a bit brighter and or edgy. Bring in our edges to it, but the darker color, if we negative paint around, will make everything look brighter here. I just want to get some of this nice petal movement going here. There we go. And I want to soften and flatten this out a bit, so I'll just take some of that background here and just push this out and around here like that. And see, that just softens that flower, just pushing in and out here like this, and it makes such a pretty little flower, just like that. Just stick your finger in that a bit. Back and forth, you can take some of this color right out into the daisy petals like that. Just pull out and wipe your brush, and pull out and wipe your brush. Maybe tap in a little more burnt sienna into that. Take a little bit of thicker white and come back in and put in a few more petals. That's just pretty, and let's flatten that out a bit. And so I just push that color around, and see what I'm doing is I'm getting this nice movement to those colors. That's what I'm looking for. This movement and here we'll make it a little bit longer on the sides. That longer on the sides help turn the petals. If I curve this slightly, that causes it to bend out just a bit there, and which I might want to do, and we'll reinforce that shadow there. It makes a real pretty little daisy there, but it takes some time to build it like that. You just don't get that one time through. Let's angle these up a bit, so then what happens is I angle these up and curve these down. That daisy turns a bit more this way. Let's take a little soft yellow green here from here and stroke out, and see that just puts that nice little shadow there. We can put just little heavier strokes of the light out here for the edges of these petals. There. That's nice. Then we'll build that burnt sienna green center up again. Right in there. Take that around. That makes a pretty nice little daisy. And that's what I want, is all these variations. Let's put a little more light. Heavy white right there. Nice heavy white right there. But it takes time to build that. And then I can lift some of that out and leave just a little light on the edge. There, that petal on the edge. Sometimes I'll lift out from here. Here like that. Let's put a little more burnt sienna and stuff in there. Tap that around. So it makes a pretty nice little daisy turning like that. We can pull out, wipe our brush and pull out onto these as well. It takes our shadow out into the petal here. And it just creates more movement. And that's my goal here, is to create movement into these flowers. So I'll create some of that center and just tap that out. Let's take some of that burnt sienna, a little purpley green here. Tap that in here. And then just pull out here. Some of that yellow and burnt sienna and green, and let those just kind of play there around the shadow where that center is going to be. And I'll do this several times. You see even that little lighter yellow green there, a few little touches of it in there, just add more interest into that flower. Okay. You could add oranges in there. You could add pinks in there. This painting would be really pretty with a couple of little pink accents too. So just take a real light pink, or even a cool color, like a little red violet in that here, which we put into our background. Now you can take a little bit of that and add that into some cool tints into the colors, like into the daisies here. Let's just strike a little bit of that cool red violet color into that. And see, it's just another tone. It's just a pretty little tone that just shows up here. Maybe you're going to hit a few little areas here with that. Pretty little tone that just shows up on some of these flowers. It's cool. Another little accent tone that, and it adds a lot to the painting. A little accent that just adds a lot there. Little touches of it. Maybe just a little bit onto that up there. Okay. Push some of that dark in and out and around this one. Let's curve out just a bit and lift off. That'll curve that side there. Let's shorten the back ones here a bit. Okay, lengthen the side ones so that daisy turns. So a lot of times I put color on and then I just push it around to manipulate it. Here. Maybe just little strikes in. There we go. I got a nice little one starting up there. Push in and out on this one. We'll lift some of that out, some of that color, let some of that just, see how I get that beautiful streaking now of those tones into those flowers here now. Let it tack up for just a minute, and I'll just streak it back and forth a bit. Now I've got these beautiful tones coming into the flowers, and somewhat soft and nice. But you might pick up a little brighter tone every once in a while. Now I can just move this through like this, push back and forth, in and out, and that gives the direction, but it's also kind of modeling and pushing these tones kind of together here. So I'm creating that blossom, and we'll take some of that back. Got a little white on my thing. We'll take some of that back here. Back like that. And we'll push in some of our real lights Now we can get really light yellow. Put some light tone into those blossoms. There. There we go. That's kind of pretty. Almost like second row of petals there. Put some into these here and just pull out. And sometimes I'll leave just like the edges like that where you see them like individual daisy like petals there. She have. There we go. A little touch of that in there. Touch of that light. Try to make them, don't get into a habit or a rhythm of it. You know, just try to make them varied throughout the painting there. That's coming better. Let's put some of our red violet right into some of that green and yellow and burnt sienna here. Let's add some red violet, high contrast, cool, dark to the lower side here of the centers here. Let that stay. Maybe touch it with a little green or yellow just to back. We'll push some of that into the daisy here as well. Here. Maybe push in and out a bit. So I wipe my brush and I stroke in and out. See, I get that crossing of the tones. That's what I like to do. So I'll pull it out and wipe my brush and push it back in. So I'll pull it out and push it back in a couple times there so I get the crossing of them. Here. Go. There we go. Just put a little more white up onto that one. There we go. Just like that. Now let's see, I want to deepen that center tone in the daisy around here a bit more so I can push that center on. I'm going to take some yellow oxide, some Hansa yellow, and some white and put it right on the corner of my brush, and I'll come in and just tap around, and we'll pick up more yellow oxide and white, make a nice light center here, just tapping right around on the corner of your brush there. So first some yellows, then pick up some more yellow or Hansa yellow and white, tap that around there, pick up that one. Let's get some more yellows. And I'm just going to round this whole top part of the daisy so it's a little different center. Going around and around and around. And we'll pick up some Hansa and white. Start to light up at the top up there. Around like that. Grab our two yellows. Build that round or half round top there, and we'll pick up some Hansa and white, a little bit more here. Tap that in there like that. That's pretty good. We'll put a few little touches of that around. Little touches here and there to say we did it. maybe let's push this one into it so it has a little bit of a idea of a center. And we can push a little lighter yellow up here in the front. So maybe that's a little turned petal there. But you know, I take off like this and it makes those petals look almost transparent, see? So, and you can play those back and forth, put those colors back and forth like that until you get the look to that petal that you want. I'm going to increase the size of this one because it's actually just a little bit off center of the bouquet, so it actually should be pretty good size flower. A little cooler, shadowy color. Then restate those centers. Just kind of tap that in. And again, I like to paint these kind of quick like this, and this very casual. So this one doesn't look like this one, and let's soften that just a touch so that they don't all look the same. So each one's a little bit different than the others. You know, that's what I really like them to be. It's this variation of it. Now I'm going to build real light yellow edges here onto this one. I want those real light yellow edges. So, and sometimes, you know, I've been doing a lot of stroking in and out, and here to create some contrast, we'll take some real light Hansa yellow and white here, light yellow, very thick paint, and just pull across the front of this one like this. And then to create the petals, I'll wipe the brush and lift out slightly like this, and that will give me the look of the petals, but I get that light little edge there that puts it on top of this other one. So you can lift off that paint. I call that the negative painting of it. So you can lift off that paint and change those shapes. Very easy. Any one of your flowers like that. And that works very well. Very easy, very well. Now, let's take some of our pine green, some of that red violet or a little purple, Diox purple into that here. Red violet's great. Slightly cooler, darker color, a little bit different. And let's come through and we'll negative paint like this and shape up just a bit more of our flowers. So I've got it, you know, like edges right here, so I might come in and just push in a little bit here to those flowers to give a different look to the edge of those petals. So I might come in like this and edge in right around here and create the edge of those petals there. Let's lighten that up, green that up a bit here, more green, maybe a bit of Hansa. So it's more green, so brighter green. Let's do that up here. Just edge into these petals. Just edge in a little bit here and through those. And that is what we call negative painting here. I do it in my roses and stuff, a technique that I can shape up the flowers a bit. So I do it with background colors and everything. And that helps shape them up. But I vary those tones. So, you know, here let's even get a little bit of black into that. So that green's a little different. Let's push some contrast into this one here. Maybe right the edge of that petal to that one. There. There we go. Get this a little edgy down through there. Okay. And we'll soften that a bit, but we'll use that right out here and push those tones out here, out into that back, that lighter back edge there. And this is where I like that. We'll even take some of our blue and green, that light background color, and green here, push that around. Just shape and add and lighten up those little daisies there like that. Push those colors around. You don't need to do tons. We need to get some yellow green in there. Some brighter yellow green would be pretty. Some other kinds of, because we want to keep this the bright light side up here. So let's get some lighter yellow greens going on up here in the top part of the painting here. Get some that going there. Even brighter and lighter yet. Just boom, light, warm colors there. You're up in there towards the light. And then the darker tones over on the other side. Let's get these light greens up in here. Some of those other greens, a few little strikes of these mid-tones, so it's not quite as light as the others, a little more pine green. And you can add some blue into that too. Change that green up with some blue. And let's just strike a few of those down here in the mid areas here. You get a few of these other greens going on down in here. Boom, right down in there. So you see those green changing. But put a few of the strikes right up here. Just a few right up there where they're changing. Okay. And then we'll come down with just a couple of little strokes of that. But then it starts getting that heavier, darker green, cooler, some green and purple and heavier and darker down here. But make sure you have a few strokes of that up there. And pull out sometimes, you know, like I'll paint like that, and I'll pull out, and that'll pull out into that green, and then I'll come back and negative paint around that again. And what that does is it just makes that paddle look a little bit more transparent because I've pulled it into some of that green. So if I want something to really look transparent, I do that a lot. But we'll pull out here. We can pull out and give that little edge. Maybe this one's got a bit of an edge. You know, maybe you see an idea of a stem or two down in through here. Maybe this is more of a glass. You know, so you get an idea of that being a glass. Just change that into glass. Just by giving an idea of a stem or so pulling through. Like that. And this is what is fun about this type of painting. It's very casual, but it's a building process of warms and cools. That's where you get your interest. Now, I have burnt sienna out there, and burnt sienna is just such a beautiful tone to even use as a little accent here and there, because I got these blues. Now, you know, the complement of those blues, of course, is your burnt siennas and stuff. So just using that burnt sienna as another tone out in here, because it's in the centers of those daisies, that would be very pretty. Even burnt sienna, a little bit of red violet in it, that's a beautiful tone as well. You know, a little, to get away from some of the green look here, you can just touch into a little bit of that, and that carries that tone as well. If you get too much, touch a little green into that. But just little hits of it here and there. Maybe you lighten this up with some yellows, and that'll change the tone up to a more brown autumny kind of green. And that's pretty. Little touches of that are pretty up into the flowers and around. And again, it's just, you know, you're getting, when you get these color tones moving like that, and now it's moving some of the yellow flowers and stuff around, that's when it really gets pretty. Maybe we have some of that tone just sitting up back down here. You know, maybe even some burnt sienna here and some Diox purple. I love these two together. It starts to cool down that burnt sienna and darken it down. And those are beautiful tones down here. You know, maybe they're picking up some of that down here into the bottom of the painting. Soften that out with some greens and stuff through that, so they pick up just a bit of that tone. But let's take a touch or two of that tone up into the center there. Again, it just adds more stuff. It's beautiful. Just adds more stuff. Let's just soften out that light a touch here. And if you want to come back and restate like the little edge of the Maybe you got a little, you can see a little edge of the glass or something like that. You know, that's up to you if you want to be able to put that in there. Boom, let's keep that soft. Maybe a bit of that burnt sienna shows up right over here. Just a touch or so of it. That area of blue I really like as well. That's that blue violet that we used. Blue and violet. Okay. And let's just grab a little bit of that through. That's pretty, especially those are pretty colors in with those, that burnt sienna and stuff. That's real pretty, those little strikes of blue. Little touches of that through there, blue violet. See, that just pushes those tones around to get this little touches of these tones, and it's just makes the whole painting a you know, kind of what we call a feast for the eyes. Everyone can find a color they like inside this painting because they're all in there. At some point in time, they're all in there. Yeah. That's good. So that's how I go about setting up some of that stuff and working it and working some of the tones and building flowers and stuff. And, you know, like I say, you may want to, if your flowers here feel a little bit too much the same, that pink tone, that works really nice. You can put this cooler blue tone in as well. This can come out onto a, you know, a few flowers, a few touches here onto the flowers. That's a pretty little tone here. So maybe just a little bit of that coming into the flowers here. That'll be pretty on these white ones as well. Just a little touch of that blue in there. It's pretty. Doesn't have to be on every one, but a few of them there is just really nice. Here. Out like that. Let's lighten that this up a bit more. Make that more of a turning petals there. There we go. And just kind of shape that up a bit. You know, get some of these green strokes out there. Now stroke that white again. And it needs a calyx to finish off that one. Kind of a calyx stroke here. A little different green so it shows up here. Push some of that back in. That didn't work too well. Let's do that again. There we go. It pushes that right back in there like that. So now it's just any final little touches, final little highlights you might want to come through and hit just a bit, a few areas there. Pop them up a bit more under some of the flowers. I like that right over there. We want to pull our eye over here a bit, so we might want to have a few pulling there. A few here on those there. Nice little lights here, there, and you know how, like I say there, how much you do is up to you. How much more you add, that's up to you. That's your call. It's your paint, your flowers. But that's what I do is I back and work those again like that, and set those all up, and I look for areas. You know, it's like. You know, one of the final things I look for is, you know, do I create enough of a bridge? I'm going to take a little dark here, set this back. And what I mean by bridge is your eye will bounce and jump over between these two flowers. So I can slow that down by taking a lighter, doesn't have to be as light as the flowers, but a lighter yellow-green and just strike it right into there. And then the eye flows through there a little bit more. Now, I don't want to do that too much because that closes down my composition, but a few areas of it add a lot. Now up in the top, that will work with the dark as well. the tops will create that here. Let's push this back a bit here and open up that stem line there like that, because I like the little stem lines because they add that interest and stuff. So sometimes I just come out and add little stems like this just to lighten up. Use just a little corner of the brush and pull through like this, because the stems just add so much to the composition. Just little corner things and movements and stuff like that just add a lot to the painting. Let's step back just a bit here, center that up so you can see that. So just add some little stems like that, and it's a nice look. It's a fun look to try some of these paintings like this. And we'll just add a few little stems coming out and around and down here, just with the corner, just to finish off like that. And I used to be, way back when, I used to use a liner brush and try to put stuff in. Now I love the casual nature of the casual stems like this. Just kind of brush through them a bit and so that they soften out, or pull through them a bit so that they soften out and they're not perfect lines. It used to be everything had to be perfect in my life there with that. Now it doesn't have to be. Now I'll just add that in. Maybe we'll add that little line or stem line there with more of a light and a chisel here. There, like that. Alrighty, so there you final little lights here. I like those little lights like that. Gentle little light. Boom. Nice little bright colors. I find that the more and more casual I paint, and some of my students have been painting with me for years and years, and you notice the more and more that I paint casual, the more and more brights and more tones that I use as I'm really beginning to, as I get this casual nature to my paintings, the prettier I think they become, because I use more tones and stuff in it, okay? And so give that a try. So most of that beautiful background we covered up, but you still get a feeling of the blues and the lights and stuff through it. And one of the things that you can do here, let me just show you this real quick because it is pretty. You can take like that light blue, and artists do this, and we'll come back in and we'll hit an area that's like this, and we'll push that light blue like right back into an area here, and maybe like right into here or so, and come out. And what that does is that starts to open up the composition. So if I feel that my composition starts to get a little bit heavy, I back paint like this with some of the background color through. And I do this, several times on quite a few paintings now, that I start to realize, okay, I can do background at any time. But I can come through like this and create a lighter edge like this, and even pull these petals in there with a little darker color. That's kind of nice, kind of fun there. Right in with that as well. There, so that gives it, it's a different look, but look what that does there. Let's get a little more blue violet into that. It takes that background color through it, and it just opens up, the sky coming through in a few areas of the painting. So you'll find artists, and they don't have to do it perfectly, they just start adding the tone in there, and that makes just because you add the tone in there starts to make it look lighter. You don't have to make it look like it's the background. It could sit right on top. And it just does great things for the painting, crossing that back and forth like that. Look what that does in there for that. And I can do it kind of in a slightly darker version of it, like right over here. Push some of that color in. And so they pick up that blue coming in back up over here. And, it doesn't have to be quite as light as the other. You can head it towards that other kind of yellowy tone, a little bit of that yellowy tone in there, like we have at the top, and that gives that impression of that lighter background through. So you'll see that, and it's a great look. So I might push some right back up and through here if I feel I get my composition too heavy in leaves or something like that, this is one way to lighten it up, pull the background color through. And it just, you don't need to see the whole entire back part of this daisy here, but I can push that in. I can then pick up a little white and push that back edge of that daisy in there again. But look what that did for the composition here. It lightened it and airied it up. So if you want to have it heavier, you can do that. If you feel that you get too heavy, then just come back like this and start to take a little bit of it out here and there, and start to lighten up your composition. Now I want to leave it a little heavier down here, but I might take a medium blue, violet, maybe a little bit of my greens and stuff into that, and toss a little bit of that blue right down in here and create that airiness right down here as you see through. And then of course you can restate some stems and stuff like that, but that carries that color in. But it doesn't take very many, but you start doing stuff like this, that just looks great. That light, that through light that we originally talked about coming through the painting. And so sometimes on these paintings that are like this, sometimes what I'll do is just streak light right back down through it and reset the flowers. And that looks great too. And you'll see that in several books while I talk about doing that. That works too. And the thing is, it's a background, it's a painting, it's a beautiful painting. Don't be afraid to go grab some stuff and touch into the background and rework it, because it's a background, and you can, in the flowers, and it's just a little bit of paint, and you can rework that. I'm just going to lighten up this side over here again one more time. You can rework that several times, and I can, and if I do it, like come back in through here, and I'll set in a little bit of light right back in here again. And when I started doing this on some of my students' paintings, they about had a heart attack. But it just takes a little bit. I'll work this back in like this. Now that's just a little white flower. I can set it, pull it just like that, and it comes right back again. But all of a sudden I start to really change. See how the whole painting here starts to lighten up. So it's become a technique that I like to do towards the end of the painting, is to physically come back in like this and start to really add the light through and streak it through and carry through. Sometimes I'll soften it out here like this with my knife right into the edge of the flowers and stuff. I'll just drag it like that right into the painting. It comes out. Now you can pull these little petals of that daisy right back out there. But look what that does. Look at the beauty that it adds, and the movement that it adds there, right in there. So it's almost like, okay, paint all the object, and see I can lift off, just pull back like that, and there comes back some of my soft leaves. So it becomes like a technique that I've really enjoyed using and including into a lot of my paintings here at the end, towards the end, and something for you to consider, or just take a practice board and try it and see if you start to like that look. That type of movement and stuff coming back in. And it's easy to do and adjust. And it's all paint. And, your job as an artist is to create these visual, interesting things. And so sometimes it's great to come back in and you put this all in. And I've learned over time, sometimes it's great to come back and paint it back out. And you get this crossing of your positive painting and your negative painting, and that's what gives you more interest and stuff. So I might just add just a little bit here and there to the greens, and just say, okay, I'll lighten up and leave some of those other edges there. Those look pretty good, so I'll leave some of those, maybe a little bit of that green right in there. So all of a sudden the painting here, still takes shape here. This all still takes shape. I'll grab a few of my stems and see, and I can restate. Say I didn't like those stems. Just don't worry about them. Just go restate them. Do them again. They're easy things to do. It's easy things to do. But I want you to learn and practice and paint like that, and you can change anything. You're the artist, okay? I just had a good time painting with you. Give it a try. Have some fun. That's the biggest thing, is have some fun with it. And don't get stressed over it. Try some different things. I use every painting as a learning experience, and try to and do all kinds of things I try. Unless I'm painting for commission, then I don't. But otherwise I do that, okay? I'll see you in some of the other videos. Till then, give it a try. Have a good painting day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.